What's going on, guys? Spooky Savage 789 here, and welcome to today's spooky video. In today's spooky adventure, we're tackling the idea of Krillin becoming a vampiric, blood-sucking creature. So let's not waste any time and hop into the tale. So as we all remember, Krillin fought against Fangs the Vampire in the Fortune Teller Barbara arc and got bit by the vampire. So let's say we followed traditional vampire rules and that soon the infection will spread into Krillin and make them one and the same. The results wouldn't be immediate, so the rest of the arc would play out like normal. A couple days later though, Krillin would fall ill during training, making everyone at Kame House begin to panic. They rush over to Krillin's side and begin trying to help him, but he quickly falls unconscious. Over the course of a couple days, they do their best to get him medicine, but nothing seems to be working. They do notice, however, Krillin's skin is becoming more pale and his two front teeth fell out, almost like new ones were growing in. After about a week in bed, Krillin opened his bloodshot eyes and stood up, now sporting fangs. The gang rushed in to see Krillin, and while they're happy he's awake, they're concerned about how he looks. Yamcha makes a remark that Krillin almost looks like that Fangs guy that Pua and Upa be, making everyone panic. Roshi asks if Krillin got bit, and the bald monk says yes, which puts everyone on high alert. What if Krillin isn't human anymore, but now a vampire? They immediately all rocket over to Barba's with Krillin in a panic. When arriving, they explain the situation to Barba, who examines Krillin and realizes that yes, he is now a vampire. They call Fangs over and ask him what's up with that, and he just shrugs. Never happened before. But Krillin is going to have to adjust to this new way of life. Roshi brings up how after a year they'll just use Shenron to turn him back, which is a comfort. However, for that, he needs to adapt in a year. So Barba offers Krillin a place at a palace so he can learn how being a vampire works. He'd agree, not really knowing what else to do, and says goodbye to his friends as he himself remains with Barba. Over the year, Krillin will be taught how to become a vampire bat, which he thinks is pretty cool. He also notices that his power is amped, which is always good. The only downside is that he needs to drink blood to survive, however Barba teaches him a recipe for plasma. Plus he can always drink animal blood, if necessary. He'd also be training with the monsters that Barba has, which would be pretty cool. At first, he primarily trains with Fangs to learn how being a vampire works, but would eventually train with the Invisible Man, Bandages, and of course Spike. Due to this, it's likely that they'd all get a bit stronger. Spike and Krillin would become good partners, as well as even forming a rivalry of sorts. When the year is up, Roshi and the gang return to Barba's to tell Krillin the news, but he informs them that he doesn't actually want to return back to his human self. He explains how there are no downsides to it, and it actually benefits him. While this is a bit weird, they do respect his wishes. He does however wish to come back to train with Roshi. As Krillin goes to leave, Spike makes a request to both Roshi and Barba. He requests to tag along and train with them, and with the recommendation from Krillin, I'm sure they both agree, and so the Turtle School welcomes their new member. Over 2 years, the trio will train together, which gives them all good gains. Plus it allows for Krillin to further his technique. Seeing the potential of these kinds of creepy powers gives Yamcha an idea. What if he trained at Barba's? He'll save that thought for later though. I'd say that Krillin would have a power level about 190, with Spike not far behind at 180. As for Yamcha, he'd definitely be stronger, about 150 to 160. When arriving at the tournament grounds, Goku would also arrive, and would need to be briefed on what happened in the time he was gone. Although he's a bit confused, what he does know is that Krillin is stronger, Yamcha is stronger, and Spike is there and stronger, so he's definitely going to have some fun. They'd end up running into the Crane School, who'd make a remark at all the creeps the Turtle School had. They would of course begin rigging the tournament with Spike replacing Pampa, so Spike would be placed against Goku in the first round. The small thing is that against Tenshinhan, Yamcha would do much better and doesn't get his leg broken due to being much stronger. He would still unfortunately lose though. Against Chaozu, Krillin would have a much easier time, though he'd keep all his abilities a secret for now. Due to his strength, Chaozu's abilities don't work, and so Krillin merely one-shots him. It leaves Tenshinhan somewhat worried after seeing this guy's strength. Next up is of course Goku vs Spike. The fight would be really intense as they're both equal, though Spike is at a disadvantage without being able to kill or use his weapons. He would use his wings to his advantage though and tries to pick up Goku and throw him out of the arena. That doesn't work though, so he just gets poked in the eyes. Spike decides to use an after image after Goku goes to punch him and grabs his tail. Goku had of course trained for this, and so he off-guards Spike with a Janken attack that would knock him out of the arena. In the semi-finals, Krillin and Goku have their match. At first, they start off weighing each other's capabilities before getting into real combat. Knowing that Goku's tail is no longer a weakness, Krillin is able to form a strategy around this. He becomes a bat to evade one of Goku's attacks and returns back to normal for a hard uppercut. Using the strategy of transforming back and forth, he easily evades all of Goku's attacks and lands hard counters onto his opponent. Eventually, Goku goes for the double clap onto Krillin, who naturally becomes a bat to dodge. Goku catches him though and stops Krillin from doing anything. As the weak bat thrashes around in Goku's hands, he walks to the edge of the arena and opens his hands very close to out of bounds. He then stamps and knocks Krillin out of bounds. Despite winning, he does acknowledge that Krillin would have won if this was to the death. Next up is Goku vs Ten Shinhan. At least the Ten Shinhan's victory still, though both participants were more fatigued to go into the fight. Like normal, Krillin heads to go collect Goku's Nyoibo and Dragon Ball and Tambourine jumps in. He kicks Krillin and snaps his neck, laughing as he watches the boy's lifeless body land. As he goes to grab the Dragon Ball though, he sees Krillin's hand grab the ball and throw it to the announcer. Krillin then snaps his neck back into place. Krillin and Tambourine begin battling, alerting the rest of the Z-Fighters, who quickly rush to their friend's aid. It doesn't take long for them to subdue Tambourine, however they don't kill him. They don't know what he is, so they'd like to question him first. When he comes to, they ask Tambourine what he is. He tries to escape, but the moment his muscle and his wing move, Ten Shinhan and Yamcha will pin him down. Eventually, he's forced to reveal that he's the son of the Demon King Piccolo. With this knowledge, Roshi reveals about Piccolo. The debate then comes up about what to do with Tambourine. Tambourine breaks away from Yamcha and Ten Shinhan during this and takes flight, so Spike just kills him. Simple enough. The idea of the Mafaba comes up with the Devil Might being cited as Plan B. Since Krillin is the strongest, he stands in the wasteland holding the Dragon Ball. So when King Piccolo appears, he'd end up going to attack Krillin, leading to the entire squad jumping him. Roshi goes to the Mafaba while everyone is fighting, leading to it backfiring and Roshi dying. Spike would then go for the Devil Might Beam, but King Piccolo just fires a Mouth Blast, causing severe damage onto a demon, leaving him breathing heavily and bloodied on the ground. Due to how intense the situation is, they all decide to work together for one last attack. Both Ten Shinhan and Chaozu use the Taiyoken to blind Piccolo, leaving him helpless as Krillin, Yamcha and Goku fire the strongest Kamehameha possible. It pierces through King Piccolo's chest, destroying the two Dragon Balls in his chest, leaving him near death. In a last-ditch effort, he spits out a final light before exploding, which Ten Shinhan and Chaozu both notice, but don't verbalize. Goku states how he's going to ask Kami to fix Shenron and leaves to do that. Krillin must state how he's going to go and begin his training on his own, saying goodbye to his friends. As for Yamcha, he approaches Spike and asks to train at Baba's, which Spike agrees to. So with Spike linked over his shoulder, Yamcha heads off to Baba's, saying goodbye to Ten Shinhan and Chaozu. Ten Shinhan and Chaozu go over to where the egg landed and see it hatch, creating Piccolo Jr. While Ten Shinhan wants to finish him off, Chaozu mentions how they could raise and train with him now. He was pretty strong, so they could get a strong training partner and a strong ally. Plus people can change, they proved it better than anyone else. And Ten Shinhan agrees, leading to them taking the child. After the fighters killed by Piccolo revived, everyone begins their training. Goku and Krillin have their typical training, with Goku drinking the sacred water during this time to balance his power level out. Yamcha would train with Baba and her fighters, giving him some good games. It also leads to him developing a new technique that we'll keep secret for now. As for Piccolo, while at first he'd be hostile towards Ten Shinhan and Chaozu, he's quick to learn he can do nothing to them. So he'd end up learning from them, and though the strict training, he becomes a good guy, though he's weaker due to when King Piccolo gave birth to him. Of course, everyone heads to 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, where they all reunite with each other finally. It'd be interesting to see Piccolo interact with everyone, as he promises to give Goku a good fight. The tournament roster would have one change, with Spike beating Chi-Chi in the preliminaries. She'd merely approach Goku after a fight though, and reveals her identity, leading to Goku promising to marry her all the same. The first fight against Cyborg Tao goes very similar to canon, except Ten Shinhan has a much easier time due to being stronger. The next fight is Goku against Spike. Both will be quite excited to battle one another, with Goku realizing that he'll need to go all out if he doesn't want to immediately get beaten. He removes his weighted clothing and then rushes at Spike for battle. Of course, Goku wins, but it is a good match, with the duo will promise to have a rematch eventually. Next up is Piccolo against Krillin. This fight would be much more closer since Krillin is much stronger and Piccolo is less bloodlusted. Using a mixture of his own abilities as well as Ten Shinhan's, Piccolo begins pulling ahead. I can honestly see this fight going either way, but since he's the focus of the what if, we'll say Krillin off-guards Piccolo in his bat form and rings him out. Normally, the next fight would be Kami against Yamcha, however here Kami forfeits and stops possessing Hiro's body. This is due to how he can tell Piccolo's a changed man, as well as how the others clearly can handle Piccolo. In the semi-finals would be Ten Shinhan against Goku. Since Goku already removed his weights, The fight goes much quicker, with Goku of course taking the W. After a fight would be Krillin against Yamcha. At first Krillin would be rather cocky, telling Yamcha to hurry up and forfeit, or asking him if he wants to become a vampire to have a much better chance. Yamcha makes sure that Krillin doesn't underestimate him though. Yamcha would get into the Wolf Fang Fist stance and begins powering up, being surrounded in an aura that somewhat resembles a wolf. He then rushes at Krillin using his new form that he calls his Werewolf Fang Fist. With this new power, Krillin gets Speed Blitz and on the verge of being knocked out. Channeling all his strength, Krillin stands back up and tells Yamcha that while he is powerful, there's a glaring flaw in this technique. The amount of ki he'd exert using it would be too much to maintain for long. Sure enough, Krillin is proven right as Yamcha falls out of the form exhausted. He tells Krillin that he can still fight but is merely chopped in the back of the neck by Krillin, who knocks him out and takes the win. We now move on to the finals. Both Goku and Krillin stare at each other excited, ready to give it their all. Without exchanging any words, they both charge at each other and begin exchanging blows. Krillin knows not to use his bat form after last time, so he won't be relying on it as much. Goku would show off the results of his training by defeating Krillin in physical combat. They ultimately end up finishing with a Kamehameha clash that ends with Goku winning and becoming the strongest under the heavens. He then flies away with Chi-Chi, which is where we'll leave things for now. And so that's where I'm going to leave it here. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below what you think's going to happen in the next part. If you want me to continue this series, make sure you give a like, as 50 likes guarantees a part 2. I might continue it next Halloween, I might continue it as just a regular series. I'll see the support in the comments and in the likes. And yeah, bye!